Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to France, to Haut Beyleron, where we are now ready to harvest the grapes. I found that last time I recorded I coughed a lot, so I found something to be drinking right now. So I had a visit from one of the local farmers, and he sort of gave me the basic rundown on how to run the harvester. It's actually fairly simple. I wonder why that. Hi, why are you there? Sorry. Please leave. Maybe they had to see me run the wine collector. So he suggested that we take them batch for batch. So this field here with the Cabernet Sauvignon, and store them in the barn, and then the Malbecs, and finally the Chenin Blanc. So separately, so that he was here today, and he sort of just looked sort of carefully at the grapes and tasted a couple of them at the different places. And his initial thoughts were that he thought that we would get a pretty decent yield from them, and they tasted good. He said they had a lot of sugar, so they would be excellent for wine making. So maybe even some good strong red wines that both me and my wife enjoy. But first things first, we need to have our little collector wagon here. So I'm going to start up the little tractor here. And then we're just going to park him somewhere suitable. I think somewhere around here would be reasonable. Alright, so I mean, it's already folded out, and we have some grapes on board, so it should just be starting it and plucking. It's fairly modern compared to what I would expect. There's no hand plucking here. Well, maybe there is for some, but we don't. So let's get going. Like I said, it's fairly simple. You just basically drive here. Yeah. Basically. He also told me that it could be a little bit tricky. Thought that I would quickly get a pretty good idea on how to get them going. That's it. That's how you harvest grapes. Well, when you don't run into the rods, that is. Alright, so let's see, we almost finished with this line here. Did I go into the wrong No. I'm really not very good at this, but then again, it's my first time handling in a harvester like this, so. I would argue that I'm entitled to a couple of beginner errors. Alright, I'll get this field harvested, and then I will see you again when I'm done. Alright, hello guys, and welcome back. So, we worked out the work pretty late today. Yesterday. I think it was about 12:30 or something like that before we stopped, and we didn't finish. The reason why I first caught you here at 9 o'clock instead of earlier was that the farmer, wine farmer that I needed to talk with, he dropped by about yeah, he was early. He was here about 7:30 or something like that, really early. So he took a look at the rows that we have left here, and also took a look at the grapes that we we have harvested so far, and he said that I could probably count on a reasonable harvest this season. He said that the grapes could probably have benefited from getting a little bit more time, and he said that they were okay, but they were not perfect. So, but he said just truck on and mash the grapes that we have gotten so far. Some of them were not so good, so we had to throw them out. But most of them were fine. So, as you can see, we have almost got. I think we're going to get about 60,000 liters of grapes. So that's a pretty decent. That's a pretty decent harvest. We're going to finish the last 3 rows, and then we're going to take a look at how we're going to make wine. So basically, you could say that almost anything that we have have to do that has to do with farming. So far, it is finished. The next part is going to be about making the actual wine. So yeah, let's continue. And just so you know, I'm going to break, or whatever you call it, go past the fourth wall here, and the reason why, yeah, whoa, you may not have noticed it. You probably won't have noticed it, because for you there's only been a couple of seconds, but for me there's actually been an entire evening where I have made dinner for me and my kids, and put them to bed, and said hello and good night to my wife and all that. She was at a theater that she wasn't very impressed. So just to let you know a little bit about how things are back home here. I'm not excessively private about these things. Yeah, like you probably know, I'm still a homegoing dad, whatever you want to call it, home-working dad. I'm taking care of the kids, taking care of the apartment, and then all of these things. And my wife is the one that's working. So, for most of you from other countries, that might be a little bit untraditional, but that's the way we could make things work out. Like I said before, we have a son that is, he's an autist. My wife has recently got diagnosis as an autist, and we are contemplating that maybe, just maybe, I'm an autist as well. Actually, we are not in any way in doubt. We just need the official stamp. Autist. From my point of view, our little girl, our daughter, I'm not so sure about her. She has some clear signs, but and then there's other parts of her that's really not very clear. So it's hard to get a feel for. So yeah. So besides me being home, and that's also the reason why I have time for all of these things like this here, and similar stuff. And my wife working. Besides that, she has sort of a little hobby. She has started her own little review of theaters, and I'm not talking about movie theaters. I'm talking about classical theaters. I'm not sure what you would call that, plays or whatever. That she officially gets tickets from these distributors and so on and so forth, that give her a ticket to come and see some play and then make a review of it. And so that's where she were today, besides work. So that's why I had to make dinner today. Otherwise, we have that sort of pretty simple arrangement that when she can make dinner, she will make dinner to us. And then yeah, I'm kind of reviewing games and that sort of thing. So I have begun watching the Amazon series The Rings of Power, or as I admittedly also would like to call it, the Rings of Prime, because it really is not the Rings of Power Tolkien, it's Prime's Ring of Prime or whatever. I might start also making some form of review of that. I haven't really decided on that part yet. Alright, so let's get this little baby here washed. And I think, you know what? I think I'm going to, now that I have him here. Yeah, I made some changes. Let me tell you a little bit about those changes that I made. But first, let's get him washed up. Cleaned up. Or her, maybe it's a girl. I don't know. New Holland. There we go. Let's put a, see if I can put some... I think I'm going to need to see this from inside. I don't know if I can get it sort of truly on that little stand here, but I'll try. I think the wheel should be somewhere directly below me. Yeah, something like that. I think it's too wide, but let's see. Yeah, he's very much too wide. All right, but let's. I just want to add a GPS to it. That's all. That's basically it. Let's see. What other kinds of wheels? Continental. Can we get Nokian? Trelleborg. No. We can Trelleborg. Do I like those better? I don't know. Michelin. I actually think I like the Michelins better. That's 50,000. So yeah, let's put those on. All right, so let's. While I park him up, let me tell you a little bit about what I did, what I've done. It's not something particularly interesting or special, like I said. All right, I can't see squat here. There we go. Is that a little cigarette lighter back there? Alright, we are finished with this, so let's go out and close up the door. Yeah, while we walk, let me tell you a little bit about what I did. So what I did was that I extended my loan, so I talked with the bank and asked them if I could get sort of an extra loan, extra money, and they fortunately said yes. And then I went and bought a bigger trailer here, as you can see, because I mean honestly the other trailer was a little bit too little. Like they said, I probably would have to change some of the equipment out, especially this little tractor here. It's an okay old fine tractor, but I think I need something a little bit more modern. Alright, let's go and load them off, and let's talk a little bit about how we are going to make must. Let's see if I can find a spot to park this trailer here now that it is very much bigger, and let me help out that little car down there, because I think I know what the issue is. Yeah. Oh my. Alright, so let me see. Yeah, I can only get it in here. Unless of course. What am I hitting? Maybe I'm hitting the wall here. Oh my, that's not... I don't think this is going to work. Not like this. So, you know what? Let's just park it in here. I know it's a little bit unorthodox place to park a trailer like this, but who cares? Then I'm going to clean this up a little bit before, while you're not watching. All right, So yeah, I took out a loan and then I bought a little some extra stuff here, and I probably would need to change this old guy out here at some point. We also need to rent a car or get a car and park it inside here to get around in town. And then I need to talk with have a conversation with the old guy, the former owner, to ask him when we need to prune these wine rags here. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I know what the issue is here, so let me just help this poor guy out here. It is a little bit funny, but if these crates here or whatever you have you can park here, they stick out too far, then the cars can't get past. So even if you don't place anything on the road, yeah, relax. Even if you don't place anything on it, they will still. Can I fit in there? I don't think so. Can I? No. Thank God it didn't get stuck in there. Yeah, if you place anything like that, they won't be able to drive past it, even though it's not really a sort of blocking anything. They just ain't they can't do it. All right, so let's take a look here at the construction that we have. So we can make must with pomace and must without pomace. That's basically it. So if we make it without, we get these two products here, and if we make it with, we'll get this product here. I gave you a little bit prehistory before, where I talked a little bit about different grape types for wine. So you have, like I said, the Cabernet Sauvignon, you have the Malbec, and then you have Chenin Blanc. The fact is that, and here we are pummeling down the the fourth wall again. When we are making wine like this, in this mod here, or whatever you want to call it, for Farm Simulator 22, we are not able to get different grape types in the game. That's basically the issue here. We don't have any grape types, so we only have grapes. So in order to get the start for the initial product for either red wine or white wine, in this case here, we're basically going to just say we are making must with pomace and must without pomace. We can make both, but then we'll get half, as you can see, or less than half. So we have 250 grapes, will give us 100 must with pomace or must without pomace, basically. So let's do a little bit of calculation here. So basically we say we have 250, so let's say in this case here, let's just say 52,500. That's pretty decent. That's pretty okay. It's a little bit less, but no, let's just use the right numbers. 493. 493 divided by 250. So that gives us 209. So basically we're going to get just about 20,900, just shy of 21,000 liters of must with pomace. So let's just take 21,000 and divide it by 2. We'll roughly get 10,500 liters of must with pomace and must without pomace. That's pretty much it. Now, when we're making it without pomace, we're going to sell a little bit here. That will probably cover the production costs. And yeah, that's that. So we're going to get, as you can see, we're going to get 100 whether we use it with or without pomace. So the difference is here that here they just separate these two parts here, and yeah, that's basically what's going to happen. And in this case here, you can see we get 200. Then they're going to remove a little bit of this. There's no, as you can see here they remove the pomace, so we'll get it back here. I mean, it's a different way to do it, but we can make both red wine and white wine. But as I can see it, there's no real way to determine how much we're going to get of either. We're going to get roughly 2 of each. The half of what we get, the grapes in the setup here. So that's just the way it is. But let's start it up. So and then we're going to fill this up with water here because it's needed. Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, let's just start. Activate must with pomace and activate must without pomace. So we're going to get half of each. So as you can see, it's giving us a little bit. We probably, well, you could say that we could do it like this and then just let it run for a little bit longer. That's one way to do it. If you wanted more red wine than white wine, but I don't mind getting 2 of each. I think it's okay. So let's have it running and give us some must without and must with pomace. So that's it. It's going to be running. Now the idea here is that you're going to press all the grapes here, and then we are going to get the grapes out here, must with pomace and must without pomace. We're going to move that with the, I'm pretty sure it must be the wagon down here. Let's just check it and see if we can. Just listen to how old it sounds when it starts. See? Yeah. So we're going to put it into this wagon here, just like I imagined. Oh, apparently I can't buy anymore. Alright. Go over here and do the same. Alright, but I think that is also that's going to be all she wrote today for the this episode here of the second episode of my farm here. Let me talk a little bit about, before you go, about the mod here. One of the things that I really like about it is that if you want to download this, you just need to look for Helmber winery. And I mean, besides the fact that I think this is really a well-made mod, I mean, it has a lot of combinations, a lot of buildings that is put together. It has a lot of cool stuff that you can do. I mean, basically, like I said, they also have, you can do wine tasting. There's a restaurant here, and there's a collection. So you're going to get a little bit of money when you have ready wine from people coming here and tasting your wine and dining and all that. Besides the money that you'll get from the actual sales. So I think it's, and the cool thing about it is that it comes in 3 different variants. Let me just show you. So this is the hard variant, if you will. But let me see, production, factories. So there is the basic one, the easy one. Basically, it does what every other mod that the standard mod that we have here in Farm Sim does. You place a building, you put some stuff in, you get some stuff out. That's it. That's what's going to happen. That's what happens in it. Then you have and there's only one it. There is grapes in, and then there's red and white wine and the sparkling juice out. That's it. In, out. Simple. Then there is the more multifacial. You can also see it here. Like, let me show you. You put in grapes and you get out these 3 products here. Then there's this multi-phase winery here. It's basically the same setup as here. You yeah, I don't have enough money. You put in grapes, like you can see here. But internally you have all of the different stages that we have here, like I've showed you. So let me just go over those stages. So, or phases, if you will. So we have phase 1, which is the pressing. So we take all the grapes and then we simply press them, like mush them. And traditionally, as I've been told in France, the tradition is that you do it with your bare feet, because apparently that is the best way to do it. Sorry, I had a cat that... The cats have found out that my computer is pretty warm, and you know, cats they like warm places, so they like to jump up. I don't like when they jump up. So, but the thing is that so we have this first phase here that is pressing, then we have fermentation, clarification or clarifying, bottling, and then you also have the sparkling grape juice. The thing is that in the multifacial single building, all of this goes on within the same building. So basically you're moving stuff around internally without having any real feel for it. But the phases are there, so you have all the 4 phases and plus the sparkling grape juice. It's just in one building. Now, the last option that we have... Oh, let's show you. Production. So, the last phase, let me see here, phase 1. You place the same building. I mean, I've rotated it, but you place the same building. But then you have these little boxes here that you need to place. For example, here you have 2. Then you scoot it around like this and place it here. You select 3, place it here. You select 4 and place it here. And finally you select 5 and place it over here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here. And they will represent the different phases that we have. So as you saw, we put in the grapes here. They are being pressed to must that we're going to extract from this building here. So this, when you place the building, this is pre-placed. From there, we are going to extract it from this silo here and move it physically over to number 2 here, where we are going to ferment it. So we're going to put it in here, then it's going to be fermented on some kind of casks. And when the fermentation process is done, we're going to extract the fermented wine from here. That is basically the wine that we have with all of the rest product from the yeast and all of that. It's why it's called cloudy. It's dirty. You could call it dirty, but it's really not dirty because there's not dirt in it. It's cloudy because you have all of the rest, the wine stuff, the fermentation stuff inside. We're going to extract that from that silo here and then drive it over to this area here, where we're going to load it up into the clarification or clarifying area, where we're going from cloudy red and white wine to actual red and white wine. And the last step is to take some of the white wine and, if I'm not mistaken, put it into 5. Let me see what it takes. No, we can also take some of the cloudy red and white wine from phase 2 and put it into here if we want to have some of the sparkling grape juice. But finally you're going to take the clarified red and white wine and move it to let me see, where would that be? It would be here. So we're going to move it to this place here, and when that is done, the bottled wines will be spawned here as pallets. And also, if we choose to have some sparkling, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, they will be spawned here as well. So they will as you can see, they're taking the cloudy direct and put it into the bottles. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little bit unsure whether this sparkling grape juice is kind of something like a cider or more towards something like a champagne, something like that. So because usually I would call it sparkling wine and not sparkling grape juice, but the fact is that you have fermentation in it. So if I'm not mistaken, the idea here is that when we have phase 4 here, you stop the fermentation process. You let it go, you let it end, and then you and that happens in the clarification process, right? We're clarifying. Sorry, here. You take the yeast out, so you stop the fermentation process, and then you have the wine, and then you put it into bottles. If I'm not mistaken, and that is the process that goes on from here to here, because you can say this is the fermentation process, but when we get the product out here, we still have yeast inside, so there's still some fermentation going on. If I'm not mistaken, when making these sparkling grape juice, and the reason why I'm a little bit unsure is because this is also the way I've been told that you make some form of sparkling wines, champagnes and stuff like that. Instead of cutting the fermentation process and pulling out the yeast, you then take it out from the cask earlier, and then you put both yeast and wine on bottles and then let it ferment to the end inside the bottle. Now, I have absolutely no expert knowledge about how you actually make champagnes or sparkling wines, as I think it's a more broader term, so I'm not sure this is the case here. It might be that this is something completely different. Like I said, something more along the lines of a cider. I'm not sure about it. But these are the different options that we have in this mod here. And if I have to be honest about it and tell you my honest opinion, I have to admit, I think this is a really extremely interesting mod, because it gives options to all kinds of players. The players that just want to put something in and get something out, or the players that want to spend more time micromanaging the different stages that is going to happen, and basically making the wine more along the lines of how you would make it in real life. So in real life, you would press or mush or whatever you want to call it, the grapes first to get the must. Then you would add yeast to that must. You will remove the husk from some of them. I'm not sure you do that with red and white wine, or that's the difference, but I know that you remove the husk in some cases. And then you'll add yeast to start the fermentation process. That's our phase 2. When you have done that, when the fermentation on casks, that is, when the fermentation process is done, you will separate the cloudy stuff, the yeast and all of that, from the wine. You'll remove all of that cloudiness. Now, as you probably have noticed, I know I'm yapping on here, but that's because wine is actually something that I really in real life enjoy to both drink, but also have a little bit of interest in how it's actually made. So you may have noticed that you can buy certain wines that are called natural wines or ecological wines, something like that. And if you notice those wines, those wines usually have what do you call it? In Danish we call it bundfat. It's sort of stuff that is on the bottom, on the flask, the bottle that you're not supposed to drink, and that is actually dead yeast cells and stuff like that, because they don't clarify the wine. I think actually you would call it homogenize it. So it's unhomogenized wine and it's unclarified, whatever you call it. But they don't remove the yeast cells, so they just... The difference is here between what I told you there with the sparkling wine or the sparkling juice and the wines, is that with the wines you will let the fermentation process stop. You'll let it die. What happens is that you add yeast cells to the must, and the yeast cells, they will begin to produce alcohol. What they are doing is that they are basically converting the sugar from the grapes into alcohol plus some carbon dioxide. And because this is an relatively open process, there's something that can... It is unoxidized, non-oxidized process. And that's, if you notice, these bottles that you can make wine in, they have this little funny, we call it an S-lock. You also have it on your drains and all that. What it helps, and there's a little bit of water inside it. What it helps to do is that the carbon dioxide that is being released from the yeast cells making alcohol from the sugar can get out, but oxygen cannot get in. So what is going to happen is that at some point you'll have an alcohol percentage in that fluid, the wine with all of that stuff inside, that is going to get high enough that it will actually kill the yeast cells. But the yeast cells, well, they won't just dissolve, they'll still be there. And that's that little stuff that you have on the bottom on the ecological wines. So in this case here, you still let the fermentation process go to its end, but then you distill, or you homogenize the wine. You remove all of that stuff. That's the difference between ecological wines, where they usually don't remove the yeast cells and all of that, and then non-ecological wines where they do. It's not as simple as that, but let's just try to give you the difference on different kind of wines that you can find. Now, what you do with the sparkling stuff is that instead of letting the process go to its end and then remove the cells, you take the white wine with the yeast cells in while the process is still ongoing, and then you bottle it. When you take the reaction, you take the white wine with the active yeast cells in, so they're not dead yet, and then you put them on bottles. You'll trap the carbon dioxide in there, which will create carbonic acid. When you open the bottle, you'll get the sparkling sensation, but the yeast cells will still die, or I think it's around 11-12% alcohol. They'll die. So, but you still, many of them, you'll still have that little layer of yeast cells in the bottom. That's enough of me yapping about wines. If you want to know more about wines, I can certainly suggest that you go read about it. And if you have any questions about wines that you want me to answer, then ask them in the comments below, and then I'll see if I can actually find an answer for you in the next video. Stay safe out there, and I really hope that I'll see you in the next video, where we're going to continue making wine on the Helmber winery at Haut Beyleron, France. See you around, guys and girls. Bye.